When people ask how I found out my wife was cheating on me, I always say, "My dog told me." But let's not get ahead of ourselves here. I was married to Susie for 4 years when I discovered she was cheating. I am the hotel manager of a nice family-owned hotel located on the Space Coast of Florida. I started working at this hotel when I was in high school. Now 12 years later, I run the place. I love it. My dream is to one day own a hotel just like this. I met my wife Susie while I was in junior college taking classes in hotel management. She was studying secretarial science. We dated for a year and then married. She got a job working for an engineering company that builds things that go to the International Space Station. We bought a house and decided to put off having kids for a few years. Our house has a big backyard, and I wanted a dog. Susie liked dogs, so there were no objections from her. But she let me know in no uncertain terms it would be my dog. She would play with it, but I would be responsible for its care. I made it known at work that I was in the market for a dog, and one of my employees said he had the perfect pet for me. His female mini schnauzer had given birth to a litter of puppies, and he was selling them. He went on and on about how this breed would be perfect for me. I decided to have a look, and one day when the pups were weaned, I followed him to his house. There in his backyard sat his wife playing with 5 little 8-week-old pups. They were all busy wrestling with each other and did not seem to pay me any attention. That is, until this one little black puppy saw me. He left his brothers and sisters and came directly to me. He cried until I picked him up. I played with him for a few minutes, then sat him down. He was not having it. He cried until I picked him up again. "Looks like he picked you," said my friend's wife. That settled it. I bought the little fellow and took him home with me. I played with him that evening and then made him a bed on the patio. That did not work. He cried and howled until I had to let him inside the house. He slept on one of my old shirts next to the bed for a few months. Then when he was old enough to jump up on the bed, he slept at my feet. My wife was moving up at work. She was made executive assistant to the CEO of the company. This guy, Paul Jennings, is not only the CEO, but he is an engineer and is the head of the design department. He's about 50 years old and married with 3 kids, ages 7, 10, and 12 years old. He married late in life to the daughter of the founder of the company. That guy is dead now, and Paul's wife is the sole owner. This company has made millions working with NASA developing all sorts of tools and devices that go into space. Now they are working on the Moon Project. That's what Susie goes on and on about. Paul is so smart, he will be remembered in history like Einstein. I doubt it. Paul is a graduate of the University of Florida and a big fan and supporter of the football team. I had seen his office when I attended a Christmas party held at the company. He was definitely a big fan of Florida football. Everything he had in that office came from the fan shop at the university. Back to how I caught my wife cheating. I came home from work one day and went to find Cisco. That's my dog, named after the head of the space station on the series Deep Space Nine, the Cisco. He likes playing in the backyard sometimes during the day, and I had installed a doggy door so he could come and go as he liked. Today, he met me with something in his mouth. When I took it from him, I suspected my wife was cheating with her boss and at my house. What Cisco had brought me was a pair of University of Florida boxer shorts. They were blue with little orange alligators all over them. I love Susie, but I am not going to put up with a cheater. But what if there is some logical explanation? Or maybe she has a clever lie prepared about how Paul's underwear ended up in Cisco's possession. I need to make sure before I make a big mistake. At the hotel, we have cameras everywhere. The lobby, the halls, the beach area, and the parking lot are all covered, so not only our guests can feel safe, but it limits our liability. I have an IT guy who I contract this work out to. I contacted him the next morning. After swearing him to secrecy, I explained my situation. I figured that since Susie knows I am in the motel business, and that I know everyone in a good 75-mile radius of here, she and Paul did not want to risk going to a motel and one of my friends calling me. That's why they are using my house. My IT friend said he could hide cameras so well that no one would ever suspect they were there. I took off work and watched as he installed cameras all over my house. Every room had a camera, even the bathrooms. There were cameras at the front door and the patio. I could access them anytime on my phone, and everything was uploaded to the cloud. The next day, I watched Cisco chase birds in the backyard, and then he took a nap on my bed. Susie came home a little before I left the hotel. She changed clothes and started supper. A typical workday afternoon. The next day, I was busy with some tourists in the lobby, and then I helped redesign a flower bed in front of the hotel. At lunch, I checked my phone expecting to see Cisco napping on my bed. Wrong. Susie was naked on her hands and knees while Paul stood beside the bed, also naked. His flabby stomach and wrinkled 50-year-old back made me wonder what my 24-year-old wife saw in him. His face was red as a rose. The guy did not look healthy. She rolled him over and kissed his mouth using plenty of tongues. "Maybe you should see a doctor and get some of those little blue pills," she asked. "I'll do that. Simmons in accounting said they worked for him. He buys them off the internet." "Why don't you shower first? I'll wait." He went into the bathroom while she lay on the bed. Paul came out of the bathroom, dressed, and left. Susie sat on the commode and then showered. She changed the sheets on the bed, then she left. Cisco came into the room, sniffed around, then took his nap. I went to the cloud and watched the events from when they drove up in separate cars. They went into the bedroom and shut the door. "Did you ever find my boxers? I know that dog took them," he asked. "No, but don't worry. If he took them, he probably buried them in the backyard. He is always digging holes and burying things." "That's fine, I have others. Are you sure your husband does not suspect? You know about us?" "Oh, hell no. He is clueless. All that dumb guy thinks or talks about is that stupid little hotel. He doesn't suspect a thing. What about your wife?" "About the same. That cold woman talks about the kids and what they did that day from the time I get home until we go to bed. We never make love anymore, and rarely do I even get a good night kiss. That's what makes what we have so special. No one is the wiser, and no one gets hurt." They proceeded to get undressed, and she got on the bed. I watched again as I thought about what I was going to do. Susie is obliviously not in love with the guy. It is not his size, and he does not make her feel good. So why is she doing this? I waited and watched for 2 more weeks while I got everything lined up for my great escape. This seems to be a Monday and Thursday thing with them. Why? I do not know and really don't care. It was the next week that I saw him go into the bathroom before they started. He swallowed a blue pill. His performance was not that much better, but he did the deed before calling it quits. I did notice that on Monday and Thursday nights, Susie seemed especially in the mood. I figured that old Paul was still not getting the job done, even with the blue pills. I took advantage of that. After 2 weeks, I had enough footage on video to put my plan into action. I took off Thursday and waited around the corner from my house. Right on time, they showed up. When I saw Paul take the blue pill and then get naked, I pulled up in front of my house. By the time I walked into my bedroom, Susie was on her hands and knees. "Why don't you two stop what you are doing and come into the living room? We need to talk." Susie screamed and tried to cover herself. I guess she thought I was going to take a picture. She would find out in a few minutes it was way too late to be worried about that. Paul turned away and did not say a word. I waited about 5 minutes for them to get dressed and then come into the living room. I could hear muttered voices but could not make out what they were saying. When they walked in, I was sitting in the only chair. That meant they had to sit on the couch, together, facing the television. I hit play on the remote. There, on the 75-inch flat screen, was a compilation of the last 3 weeks that I had recorded. I thought I had done a good job with the editing, and the quality was very good also. You could hear every grunt and scream. After about 2 minutes, Susie asked me to stop it. I pushed stop, then eject. I took the disc out and handed it to Paul. "This one I made for you. Susie, yours is on the dining room table. I have the original and there are no more copies, I assure you. Paul, I am willing to sell you the original if you like." "How much?" was all he said. $500,000, I replied. That's outrageous. I think it's cheap. If your wife got a copy of this, she would divorce you. Her alimony would be what? $25,000 or $30,000 a month. And child support for 3 kids, another $10,000 a month? You're a millionaire, Paul. The courts would look at your last 3 years' income and may even order you to pay more. But then your wife owns the company, right? You may be out of a job. $500,000 is cheap considering all the problems I could cause you. Where is he going to get that kind of money? Susie is thinking of him, not our marriage. Paul has that and more squirreled away, right, Paul? In those NASA contracts, there are hammers for the space station that cost $10,000. Those same hammers cost $10 at Home Depot. He never answered my question. When do you want the money? He asked. I guess he does not want to talk about the price of hammers either. Within 2 days. Wire it to this account. I handed him wiring instructions. Call it consulting fees on the moon project, I laughed. Can I trust you to give me the original and that there are no more copies? He asked. You'll have to trust me. But I assure you after I get the money, neither you nor Susie will ever see me again. Jimmy, Susie screamed. Let me explain. I'm going back to the office. I will tell everyone that you called in sick, he answered. He turned to me. I am going to trust you to keep your word. I will, I replied. We did not shake hands. As he turned to leave, I did notice that the little blue pill was still working. Jimmy, let me explain. Please? There is no love between Paul and me. Paul is a great man, a great inventor. History will remember him as such. I just want to be part of it somehow, like a royal mistress to a king. That's all. You better hope Paul wires the money. If not, the Queen is going to find out about the royal mistress. When that happens, the mistress gets her head chopped off. I called Cisco and we left for the motel. I already had my suitcases packed and a room reserved for us. We are a pet-friendly hotel. I waited until Paul wired the money. Then one evening I sent my IT friend to the house to retrieve the cameras. Susie acted surprised. Where did she and Paul, those great intellects, think I got the video? My friend who sold me Cisco agreed to board him for a week, and I left for a country in South America that most Americans are afraid to visit. There on a bad road, I found the 30-room hotel to be just like it was advertised on the internet. The owner had died and his elderly wife wanted to sell. She was asking what amounted to about $300,000 for it. I thought it to be underpriced, and I paid her the asking price. It was just what I had dreamed about. I flew back to the States, and in 2 weeks, Cisco and I had set up housekeeping in my hotel on the beach. I started advertising in Europe, and within a month, I had reservations coming in. 2 months later, we welcomed our first guests. Cisco and I enjoyed living there. We took walks on the beach in the early morning, played in the hotel pool in the late afternoon, and learned to speak a little Spanish. One morning, Cisco was supervising me cleaning the pool when I received a call on my radio that I was needed at the front desk. It sounded urgent, so Cisco and I hurried to the lobby. There stood Susie with a suitcase and a carry-on bag. I imagine you are surprised to see me. I am. Leave your bags here and follow me, please, I replied. I led her into the now empty restaurant. Breakfast was over and our guests were all out on the beach. I motioned for my cook to bring us both a coffee, then looked at Susie. So? No. Good to see you? Or maybe how have you been? Nothing at all? She asked. Why are you here, Susie? Jimmy? You know I never stopped loving you. Even after I divorced you for abandoning me, that was Paul's idea. I still love you, she answered. Speaking of old Paul, how are you guys? Still going to the moon? Paul's dead, Jimmy, she replied. What happened? Did this wife catch you two together and shoot him? I promise I kept my word. If she found out, it was not from me. Paul and I were at our house. He took too many blue pills and had a heart attack. The doctor said with his heart condition he should never have been taking those pills. Anyway, I had to call 911 and, long story short, his wife found out and fired me. Then she sold the company. I went to work as a secretary for an insurance company. I had to sell the house since my salary now is way below what I was making with Paul. This is my first vacation, and I thought I would use it to come see if, you know, maybe you and I could try and get back together. What do you say? Let's give it a try. About that time, Greta opened the door to the restaurant. Let me explain what Susie is looking at. Greta is German. She stands about 5'8" tall and has blonde hair and blue eyes. She has on a see-through beach cover-up and the bottoms of a black bikini but no top. Both she and her friend Ingrid, who could pass as her twin, have been guests here at the hotel for the past 5 months. She told me she hates the cold weather in Berlin. Greta is what some people call a Nepo baby, trust fund baby. I call her my spoiled rich girlfriend. And yeah, Ingrid and her sleep with me. But before I go any further, I want you to know that I have no illusions about Greta and me. One day in the not-too-distant future, she will get tired of the sun, the beach, or maybe me. She and Ingrid will pack up and fly off. I will never see them again. That is what happened with the Swedish girl before them and the French divorcee before her. Understand? There you are. Ingrid and I have been looking all over for you. We are ready for that snorkeling trip to the reef you promised us. I looked back at Susie. I believe we are full this week, but check at the front desk and they will find you a room at another hotel in town. Jose will give you a ride. Have a good life. I stood and Greta moved into my arms and kissed my lips. Who is that alte Frau? Someone looking for a meal ticket, I replied. Meal ticket? I am not familiar with that term. Not important, I answered. Ingrid met us in the lobby with Cisco and we walked to the beach. I carried Cisco through the breakers to the boat. He loves to ride. I never saw Susie again. And that's the end of today's story. If you enjoyed it, please give this video a thumbs up and drop a comment below. Your support helps the algorithm push my content further. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. It really helps me keep creating more stories for you. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. I suppose if I'm to spill my guts, I should start at the beginning. My name is not important. Or maybe I should say it is all important, and the one thing you can never know. You see, I was supposed to kill a man. Oh, he deserved it. Or at least I was told he did. I'll never really know for sure. I never met the man. I never even spoke to him. I was told to just do whatever it took. Walk up behind him one night in a parking lot and shoot him in the back of the head if that's what it took. I couldn't. I tried. I really did. I just couldn't do it. So why am I hiding my identity now? I didn't commit the crime. What do I have to fear? It's simple. There are others I must protect. I made a deal with the devil, and the devil will always have his due. I used to think that my life was hell. Funny that. I was just biding my time in hell's waiting room. This is the real hell. I tried to solve my problems with a shortcut, and in the end, I traded one nightmare for another. You see, I was married to, well, maybe I'd best leave her name out of it too. I don't want this to get back to the wrong people. Let's just call her the cheating woman. That's what I call her. Men are so stupid. Some unfaithful woman comes along and seduces men with ease. Then the next thing they know, they're down on one knee offering her their heart and thinking they're the luckiest guy in the world. That's what I thought. Trust me, I wasn't. My heart was the one thing that did not interest her. She wanted everything else. She kept me well-loved and happy, pushed out 2 kids, and then that two-way loving relationship became a one-sided and demanding endurance contest to see just how much I could withstand before I broke. She went out with her friends at night and came home late, then later, then not at all until the sun was up. She put a pot of stew in the fridge, and that kept me and the kids fed for the week while she was going out and about. I started cooking proper meals just so the kids could eat better. If I tried to talk about it, she shut me down with, "I'm entitled to a little fun once in a while. You're away all day. You don't know what it's like. It's just a little fun. I have nothing to apologize for." The intimacy that brought us together faded away, leaving me with nothing but solitude and frustration. On top of all that, her spending got out of control. That's what the cheating woman did to me. Then one night I came home from work, and she had dinner on the table. She outdid herself in cooking my favorite meal. After dinner, she said, "Darling, we need to talk." She sat next to me on the couch and tried to sound loving and reassuring. Her life was boring. She needed a little excitement. He would be no threat to me. I was still her number one. She still loved only me. It would be just a little excitement while I'm away at work. Hell no. I put my foot down, so the loving discussion escalated into threats. "I'm doing it, and there is nothing you can do about it. If you want a divorce, I'll take everything you have and everything you will ever have. You'll lose the kids. The courts always give custody to the mother. I'll get the house and you'll pay for it. I'll get alimony and child support, so don't be stupid. Just go along with it. Besides, you've been happy the past 2 years, so it won't be any different. You just know now." I took the first opportunity I had to sit with a divorce lawyer, and he basically confirmed everything. It was a no-fault state. Even if I got evidence of her adultery, it wouldn't matter much. She would get the kids, and I would pay for her to raise them. I could embarrass her with her friends and family, but her friends were no better than she, and God only knows what her family was really like. I thought I knew them, but I thought I knew her. I couldn't let her raise the kids by herself. She was toxic. She treated the kids no better than she treated me, and if left on her own, she would poison those lovely, gentle souls and ruin their lives forever. I couldn't let that happen. My back was against the wall, and I thought it couldn't get any worse. I was wrong. I came home from work about a week later, and I found her entertaining her lover in our bed. He was younger than me and bigger in every way. If I charged him, he would just beat me to a pulp. "Oh, get out, would you? Wait downstairs. I'll be along soon enough," she screamed. "Cheating woman! No, that will not do. It will not do at all. The cheating woman has to pay." She informed me that I needed to get used to it. The motel bills were too expensive and completely unnecessary. She was going to have an affair with him in my home, and that was that. No, she wasn't. She damn well was not. Who was I kidding? Anything I did to stop them would either land me in jail or the hospital. Both paths led to divorce, and that meant poverty. I packed a bag and left, a fine lot of good that did me. I stewed for a few days and got nowhere. I finally called a friend, I'll call him Jack, who had been married to a horrible woman. Then one day his wife just up and left. A year later, he got an uncontested divorce. I figured if anyone could help me, he could. We met for a beer in a quiet bar, and this is what he told me. "What I tell you stays between us. Do you understand me? You never tell a living soul. Tell me that you understand." I nodded. "I understand." Jack leaned in. "Swear." I swallowed hard. "I swear." Jack's voice dropped lower. "My wife didn't just disappear. I made her disappear." It took a minute for that to sink in. I stared at him. "Are you telling me you eliminated her?" Jack shook his head. Number I had her killed. He was serious. Whether he did it or he had it done, I was sitting with a man who took his wife's life. I couldn't help myself. I admired this man. I leaned in. "How?" Jack gave me a long, serious look. "Are you sure you want to know? Once you hear this, there's no turning back. It's a contract. Once you commit, you have to see it through." I didn't hesitate. "I have nothing to lose." Jack shook his head. "That's what everyone thinks, until they realize just how much they actually do have to lose. Once you're in, there's no backing out." I steeled myself. "Tell me." Jack exhaled and lowered his voice. "You meet one time face to face, that's it. Nothing is written down. But once the deal is made, it's final. And if you try to back out, there's a price to pay." I swallowed hard. "How does it work?" Jack leaned in closer. "You place an ad in the personals section of the LA Times. It should read, Sad man seeking relief from grief. Then you leave a P.O. box where you can be reached. I furrowed my brow. And then? Jack's expression didn't change. Then, nothing. One day someone will approach you. Maybe by your car. Maybe in a coffee shop. There's no set plan. It just happens. He leaned in slightly. He'll say, "Are you?" You say, "Yes." Then he'll ask, "Are you looking for relief from your grief?" And again, you say, "Yes." Jack paused for emphasis. Then, he invites you to take a walk. That's when you decide. Either you strike a contract, or you walk away. I hesitated. "What's the contract?" Jack's voice was calm, almost too calm. "Your wife will be taken care of. Either she dies, or she disappears. And when it happens, it'll look like an accident." I sat there, staring at nothing. I truly hated her. "How do I pay for it?" I finally asked. Jack gave a small smirk. "That part's easy. A little money. And your soul." I scoffed. "Are you telling me I'm making a deal with the devil? Come on, don't mess with me. I'm in serious pain and you're playing games with me." Jack shook his head. "He's not the devil, but he might as well be." He leaned back and continued. "You'll be told to buy something, an antique, a painting, maybe even a boat. Whatever it is, you'll pay way too much for it. The antique will be a fake, the painting a forgery, the boat will probably sink. If anyone asks, you just got scammed." I frowned. "That doesn't sound so bad." Jack held up a hand. "I'm not finished. These people are professionals, but they're more like accountants than killers. You pay them, and your wife disappears. But about a year later, they come back, for the second half of your debt." I narrowed my eyes. "What do you mean?" Jack's voice was steady, almost too calm. "They'll have another job. Maybe it's a cheating wife, maybe an abusive husband. Either way, someone needs to die, and that's when you pay them back." I felt my stomach twist. "Are you saying?" Jack nodded. "Yes. They tell you who the target is, and you're the one who pulls the trigger. That's how this works. The only reason you get your wife taken care of is because someone else before you agreed to do the same." I sat there, my mind spinning. It felt like time had stopped. This wasn't just a one-time thing. This was forever. I wasn't just making a choice. I was selling my soul. The only way out of my nightmare was to embrace something even darker. I exhaled, my throat dry. "I need to think about this." Jack's stare hardened. "Yes, you do. But understand me. This is a contract. There's no changing your mind. If you back out, you become a liability, and they don't accept liabilities." I swallowed. "I understand." Jack's voice was firm. "Do you?" I hesitated, then nodded. "Yes." "Now I've told you everything, and we will never speak of this again. The next time you see me, you smile, buy me a beer, and we talk about the game. I never need to know what you decide. Don't ever tell me. If anything ever happens to her, I'll just assume it's a happy coincidence. Don't ask me anything else ever again. Do it or don't do it. We never talk about this again." I thought for a time, took a sip of my beer, and said, "Who do you think is going to win the series this year?" And that was that about that, except for one thing. As my friend walked away, I noticed the missing finger on his left hand. I remember when it happened. He said he lost it to the lawnmower blade about a year after his wife disappeared. If I wasn't sober before that, I was then. I went home the next day and interrupted the cheating woman with her lover. She yelled at me. He smirked. I tasered him. That shut her up. I dragged his naked body by his heels down the stairs to the front door, then down the cement steps and onto the front yard with his head bouncing on every step as we went. I felt pretty good, but it didn't last. He pressed assault charges and the cheating woman testified against me. I did 90 days in the county lockup. When I got out, I was served with divorce papers, and it all went down pretty much as she predicted. I wound up living in a one-room efficiency apartment while I paid the mortgage on a 3-bedroom home, along with child support and alimony. I was kept away from my kids because I was deemed violent and dangerous. So there I was. The cheating woman had kept her promise. She took it all. Worst of all, I loved my kids, and I was deathly afraid of how they would grow up under her example. For their sake, I had to act. I took out an advertisement in the LA Times, sad man seeking relief from grief, and I left a P.O. box where I could be reached. Time passed, and nothing happened. Then, one day as I ate my lunch in the park, a man walked up behind me. He said, "Are you?" I said, "Yes." He said, "Are you looking for relief from grief?" I said, "Yes." Then he invited me to take a walk with him. I studied the man in front of me. "Are you a cop?" He shook his head. "No." I raised an eyebrow. "Aren't you going to ask me the same thing?" He didn't flinch. "No. We've done our homework. We know exactly who you are and what your problem is." I hesitated. "Do you want to know who told me how to find you?" He gave a small smirk. "No. We have a pretty good idea, but it doesn't matter either way." I frowned. "Is he in trouble?" His expression darkened. "No. Word of mouth is how our business operates. But understand this. If the wrong word reaches the wrong person, that creates a problem. And when we have a problem, we clean it up. Fast." A chill ran down my spine. I had no doubt he meant every word. I took a deep breath. "How does this work?" He leaned in slightly. "In about a month, an antique tea table will come up for auction downtown. It's a poor reproduction, worthless. But you will fall in love with it." I narrowed my eyes. "And?" "You won't be the only one bidding, but you'll make sure to win. The price will climb, but in the end you'll pay $20,000. Then you take your new tea table home." I paused, trying to process it. "That's it?" He tilted his head. "You were told there are 2 installments, right?" I swallowed. "Yeah." The man's voice remained steady. "You keep your P.O. box. In about a year, you'll receive an envelope. Inside will be your instructions. You'll be expected to complete the contract." I swallowed hard. "And if I don't?" His expression didn't change. "All contracts must be fulfilled. If you don't do it, we will. But that also means tying up loose ends. Anyone who fails to complete their part becomes a loose end." I hesitated. "Can I at least be sure that the second target deserves it?" He nodded slightly. "We don't take contracts for convenience, profit, or petty revenge. Our founders believed in making the world a better place, and we still follow that standard. But make no mistake, you won't have a choice. Once you say yes, the contract is final. Right now is your last chance to walk away. Say no, and you'll never hear from me or my associates again. Say yes, and you will see it through." My throat felt dry. "How do I make the contract official?" His answer was simple. "You buy the table, that's it." I exhaled. It's my ex-wife. She's truly evil, and God only knows what she's doing to my kids. He gave me a knowing look. "Yes, we know. Like I said, we do our homework." I sat there, staring at nothing. My mind reeled at what I had just agreed to. When I finally looked up, the man was gone. I was alone. The auction was still 2 weeks away when I got a call from my kids. They were in my son's room, and both he and my daughter were on the call. "Mommy has a strange man in her bedroom, and we're scared. He's mean. He told Cindy that he can't wait for her to grow up. What does he mean, Daddy?" I was livid. I wanted to kill the cheating woman and anyone with her. I told them to lock their bedroom door and then I called my brother. I couldn't go over there or I'd get arrested, but he could. He went and knocked on the door until the cheating woman finally answered it. She was angry. Who cares? My brother tried to play it cool, asked if the kids were there, and offered to take them for the night. She told him to bug off. He never saw or heard the guy, so he couldn't testify that anyone other than the cheating woman and my kids were there. I wanted to call child services, but I couldn't prove anything. Plus, I was deemed dangerous, so would they even listen to me? My kids called 2 more times after that. My brother and my sister went to the house. The cheating woman threatened to call the cops if they didn't leave. They never saw or heard anything they could testify to in court. A man under that kind of pressure makes bad decisions. I bought the table. God help me. But I bought the damn table, and from that moment on, my fate was sealed. 6 weeks later, after getting numerous calls from my kids, I had a knock on my front door. 2 uniformed cops were standing there. I opened the door, thinking the cheating woman had called them, and they said, "Are you?" I say, "Yes." They say, "Can you account for your activities for the past 6 hours?" I say, "I was at work until almost 6, then went to the food store for a few things, and I've been sitting here since." "Why are you asking?" They say, "Can anyone verify you were here?" I say, "My brother called about 90 minutes ago, and we talked. You can check with him." "What is this all about?" They say, "It's your ex-wife. Someone broke into her house tonight. We regret to inform you that she is dead." I was stunned. I motioned for them to come in and I sat down on the couch. For a time, I forgot they were there. I just sat there, thinking about that discussion months before, looking at that damn table, and I broke down and cried. "That's right," I cried. They weren't tears of joy. I didn't laugh, and I didn't celebrate. She was an evil, cheating woman, but I felt a weight on my shoulders, the likes of which I had never felt before. "What about my kids? Are they all right?" I asked. "Yes, sir. Apparently they were upstairs doing their homework and never knew what was happening. Your daughter came downstairs and found her mother. She's pretty shaken up. I've got to go to her." Then I remembered the protection order. "You have to help me. I beat up my ex-wife's boyfriend when she brought him into our home. It was back before we were divorced. She got a protection order as part of the divorce settlement, and I'm not allowed near my kids. You have to help me." The officer's tone was calm. "Your brother and sister are with them now." I narrowed my eyes. "You've spoken with my brother?" "Yes, sir." I let out a frustrated sigh. "So you knew I was here the whole time, but you still had to give me a hard time? Really?" The officer shrugged. "It's our job, sir." "Get out." I was enraged. Even though I knew you don't hit a cop, not hitting them took everything I had in me. They couldn't start by telling me my kids were safe. I called my brother, and he picked up on the second ring. "Get your back over here. You really think we're going to enforce that protection order? Your kids are asking for you." That was all I needed. I was in the car and driving like a maniac. I got to my brother's place in record time. My kids were shaken up, but they were okay. It was in some ways the worst and the best night of my life. We went to a lawyer, and he filed the papers. Child Services interviewed my kids, and the judge lifted the protection order. I had my kids back. I cleaned up the house and we moved back. I tore up the carpets, painted the walls, and did everything I could to make it a different house than the one where my wife was killed. I tried to erase the memories from my children's minds. I got them therapy. My brother and sister wanted me to go, and for a time I did. But I could never tell the therapist what was really bothering me. What bothered me was the calendar. Week by week, month by month, I knew what was coming. Week after week, I went to the P.O. box and checked my mail. Week after week, the box was empty. I started telling myself they'd forgotten me, but I knew better. About a year after my wife's death, there was a large manila envelope in my box with no return address. I took it to the car, opened it, and read my assignment. It said that he beat his first wife and had a fondness for children. His second wife had two, a boy and a girl. Maybe it was true, maybe it wasn't. I don't know. They knew exactly what to tell me. His routine habits were all documented. There were pictures. It told me where he worked, where he drank, even what he drank, and the roads he drove to and from work. It even told me his girlfriend's name and where she worked. On top of everything else, he was a cheater. Last, there were even some suggestions about how to get it done. It was your basic how to eliminate a man manual. They thought of everything. They gave me a month to get it done. I studied it. I planned. I tried to run him down one night when he was coming out of the bar, but I swerved at the last moment. I thought about buying a gun, but I couldn't do it. I lay awake at night looking for a solution to my problem, but there was none. I just didn't have it in me. I couldn't eliminate a man I didn't know. With that revelation, my fate was sealed. These people who held my contract were people you could not disappoint. I knew I had only one choice. I made an appointment to see a lawyer and I wrote out a will. In the event of my death, I want my children to go with my brother and his wife. They are good people who have always wanted children. They will raise them right. About 2 months after I got the package, I read in the paper that a man had been found in an alley, beaten, robbed, and killed. It was brutal. Someone worked out their anger on him. I recognized the name and I knew what was coming. I worried about my kids and put double locks on the windows and doors. I knew I couldn't hide for long, so I did the only thing I could do for my kids. I started eating my lunch in the park. I figured I couldn't stop them, but I could control where it happened. So that was my friend's story, or most of it anyway. I guess it falls to me to finish his sad little tale. You see, I'm Jack. It was a Tuesday about a month after that guy got killed in the alley. I walked up to my friend as he ate his lunch alone in the park, and I sat down beside him. I sat down beside him on the bench. I heard your wife died. He didn't look at me. Yeah. I exhaled. Good. The kids are better off. His gaze stayed fixed on the ground. Yeah. Frustration bubbled up inside me. Damn it, I told you! I told you the contract was binding! This was a conversation I never wanted to have. It wasn't supposed to happen this way. He finally spoke, his voice hollow. I know. I thought I could do it. But I couldn't. My friend turns for a moment and looks at me. He had tears in his eyes. He seemed to be looking at that missing finger on my left hand. I knew what he was thinking. Yes, I had hesitated once. Losing my finger was the encouragement that I had needed way back when. He looked away. It seemed for a moment he was studying the autumn leaves, the burst of color that marks the end of summer and the approach of winter. It's okay. I know the price I have to pay. I'm at peace with it. At least my kids are safe and happy. I didn't get you into any trouble, did I? Not really, I said. I put my hand on his shoulder. For an instant, I felt my soul burn to ash, and I knew that my eternal fate was sealed. I put the barrel of the gun behind his left ear, and with one hard, cold tap, all that he knew was gone. And that's the end of today's story. If you enjoyed it, please give this video a thumbs up and drop a comment below. Your support helps the algorithm push my content further. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. It really helps me keep creating more stories for you. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. I sat quietly and listened to the preacher give the eulogy to my best friend. Cody was more than my best friend. He was the man I had loved since high school. Now I have lost him forever. I need to explain. I met Cody George on my first day in high school. He lived outside of town on a ranch. I lived in town, so we had gone to different grade schools, but the county had only one high school. It was just luck that we were in all the same classes. I always managed to sit next to that good-looking boy, and soon we were talking and comparing notes. Over the next month, we became friends, and by Thanksgiving, we were inseparable. Neither Cody nor I played sports. Not the traditional sports anyway. Our school had a rodeo team, and Cody made the team. By our sophomore year, people were starting to take notice. Cody was good. I was at every event cheering him on. I remember one afternoon he was bucked off a rank horse that no one had been able to ride. I met him behind the chutes and was offering my opinions about how nobody could ride that horse. He stopped me. "Jesse, there never was a horse that couldn't be ridden, and there never was a cowboy that couldn't be thrown. I will remember that forever." His senior year, he received scholarship offers from universities that had rodeo teams. He turned them all down. Why? Terrorists had flown planes into the towers, and Cody thought it was his duty to go fight them. I disagreed. I tried to talk him out of it, but he joined the Marines and left after graduation. We were both still virgins. While Cody went to war, I went to college. I majored in banking and got a job in the summer working as a teller in our local bank. I wrote Cody letters and emails every chance I got. He always returned my letters, which kept me informed about his life. I was in college, away from home for the first time in my life, so I took advantage of my freedom like all my new friends. At a party one night, I lost my virginity. I did not tell Cody because I imagined he was drinking and carousing with his Marine buddies. When Cody came home, I was the assistant manager of the bank and in charge of the loan department. I was in a relationship with a guy I had met in college. Relationship is probably not the right word. It was more of a friends with benefits type of thing. Cody was single but dating a couple of girls around the county. It was about 6 months after he came home that tragedy struck. His mother and father were both killed in a terrible traffic accident. Cody was an only child, so he inherited their small ranch outside of town. It was completely paid for, but his father did have an open line of credit with the title to the ranch as the guarantee. The line of credit was $50,000. The ranch was valued at much more than that. Cody was dating a girl who worked as a receptionist at a law office in town. There were rumors about her and one of the lawyers who worked there. He was married, but they were just rumors. After the death of Cody's parents, things seemed to heat up between this girl, Sue, and Cody. Within a couple of months, I heard that they had run off to Vegas and got married. To say I was heartbroken would be an understatement. I had always thought that one day, Cody and I would be together. We still talked, and I saw him every now and then around town with that blonde bimbo. There were still rumors about her and that married lawyer. I am sure Cody did not know. Many nights I lay in my bed wondering if I should tell him. I would think of all kinds of scenarios. Maybe Cody knows and does not care, or maybe he watches. He might think I am jealous and trying to cause trouble in his marriage. I was really torn about what to do. Then one day he called me with great news. That cheating woman of a wife of his is pregnant. 7 months later, the baby is born. Cody called me and wanted to meet me at the city cafe for lunch. He had pictures of the baby he wanted to show me. I went just to see Cody. I still love that guy. He was sitting at a table when I walked in. There were tears in his eyes. "Cody, what's wrong? Is there a problem with the baby or your wife?" "There sure is a problem," he is almost shouting as he hands me his phone. It is open to pictures of the baby. The baby is black. What the hell am I going to do? I'll tell you what I feel like doing. I want to find out who the father is and kill both him and that cheating wife of mine. Calm down a minute. I don't want you to do that. You'll end up in jail for the rest of your life. Let's think this through. When does Sue get out of the hospital? Tomorrow, he replied. I imagine she has seen the baby. Of course, she was nursing it when I left. What did she say? I asked. She said for me to get used to the idea of her messing around and me raising that kid. She says there is nothing I can do about it. She said she and the baby are going home tomorrow and live in my house. If I decide to divorce her, I'll need to find another place to live. She said we live in a no-fault state, and I'll have to pay her alimony and child support since the baby was born during our marriage. It makes no difference if the kid is not mine. How the hell is that right? She cheated, not me. He was getting loud. Take a breath, Cody, I replied. He did take a deep breath, then continued. She told me I might even have to pay for the kid's college education. Can you believe that? Then after about 18 years of me paying everything, she will sell the ranch and send me 50%. That is, if I am still alive. That cheating woman laughed when she said that. Cody, breathe, I asked. Jessie, she knew exactly what to say to me. It was like she had been coached and had rehearsed that speech. She was laughing when I stormed out of the room. Cody, she works at a law office and one of those lawyers is black. He is probably the father. He advised her on what the law is in this state and on what to say to you. I am not a lawyer, but I think it would be best for you to not be alone with her. She may call the sheriff and claim you were violent, and she is afraid you will harm her or the baby. If she gets you arrested, you will spend time in jail, and she will get everything in the divorce. I would offer you my spare bedroom, but that may raise problems also. I'll make some calls and get you a place. I called around as we waited for our food, and I did find him a place to stay. Then I started working on a plan. After lunch, I went back to work at the bank. Cody went home and packed up his things and moved to a place the bank had repossessed. It had a few acres and a barn, so Cody was able to take his horse. The next morning, while Sue waited for Cody to pick her up at the hospital, I met him in my office. I increased his line of credit on his ranch to $500,000 and had him withdraw it in cash. The place was valued at $750,000, so there was no problem. At the same time, he rented a safe deposit box. The money was not put in that box. Sue and the baby went home in a taxi. Cody did not answer any of her calls. Earlier that same morning, he had driven the few head of cattle he owned over to a neighbor's pasture. A couple of days later, he loaded them into trailers and hauled them to a sale barn. Sue gave up on trying to get Cody to talk to her and filed for divorce. Cody was served at his new place. At the first hearing, an attorney from the firm where Sue worked, not her baby's daddy, represented her. Cody did not show up but sent a lawyer from out of town, my friend with benefits. Of course, Cody was the bad guy. He abandoned his wife and new baby. The judge ordered him to pay everything, even her legal fees. Things were going according to my plan. Before the first payment to that cheating woman was due, Cody went on a ride with the sheriff's department. It was a trail ride to raise money for some charity the sheriff sponsored. There were over 100 riders that morning. After about 3 hours on the trail, they came to the Wolf River. It was running fast from the recent rains, so Cody said for everyone to wait, he would cross first to make sure it was safe. He was about halfway across the river when it happened. His horse spooked for some reason. Some thought it was a snake swimming in the river. Others said it was a log rushing by. Whatever it was had caused Cody to fall off. He was washed away in the current. The sheriff said the river got deeper just below the crossing, and Cody's boots probably filled with water and he drowned. His body was never recovered, and it is presumed that he washed downstream to where the river empties into the Missouri River. They searched for 3 days, then gave up and declared him dead. That brings us up to today. After the church service, everyone gathered at Cody's house, the house where Sue was living. There was plenty of food, a tradition in our part of the country. All Cody's friends were there, even some he had rodeoed with back in the day. One man was very vocal. I take exception to what that preacher said. Cody ain't never fell off a horse in his life. He might have gotten thrown, but the witnesses said he fell. Bullshit. I bet somebody shot him. Ronnie, that did not happen. I was there along with the sheriff and 2 deputies. Nobody heard a gunshot. That was said by another of our friends. Well, I ain't ever going to believe it. That guy was the best damn cowboy I ever been around. What a horrible way for him to die. Jesse, were you there? What do you think? Ronnie, I did not make the ride this year. I had something important to take care of that morning. I wish I had been there. You know, maybe I could have. The sheriff spoke up. Stop. There was nothing anybody could have done. It happened so fast. We searched for him, but he was just gone. I excused myself and left. 2 days later, Sue and her baby's daddy showed up at the bank. What the hell is this? I don't owe $500,000 on that ranch, no way. I searched through the files and pulled one out. I handed it to the black attorney. He studied them for maybe 3 minutes. Sue, this looks all in order. Cody borrowed $500,000 against the ranch a couple of days after the baby was born. How the hell could he do that? That ranch was ours. I did not sign anything, Sue replied. No, Sue. That ranch was willed to Cody by his parents. It was in his name only, and that credit line was put on the ranch by his father. He used it to buy and sell cattle. So, where is the money? She is angry. The attorney takes over the conversation. Did Cody have an account here at the bank? Only the one in both Sue and Cody's names, I replied. There is less than $100 in that account. Sue is getting loud. What about a safety deposit box? The lawyer asked. Cody has one of those. Open it! That's where the money is, they ordered. I'll need an order signed by a judge, I replied. Open that goddamn box now, Sue demanded again. Calm down, Sue. Let me handle this. Your divorce was not final, so there should not be a problem. By law, you were still married to him at the time of his death. You are his widow. That seemed to satisfy Sue. She smirked at me. Then they got up and left. There was a problem. The judge wanted to wait for a death certificate to be issued before he would give her permission to open the box. That took a couple more weeks. The bank sent another notice demanding their money and threatening foreclosure. Sue and her attorney were back with the order to open the box. I arranged for a locksmith to meet us, and we opened the box. It was empty. Sue was angry. Where's the goddamn money? It just did not disappear. Can we look at the bank's video of the day Cody received the money? Maybe that will show something, the lawyer asked. That should not be a problem, I replied. We searched through the stored tapes until we found Cody standing at a teller's window. The teller counted the money and then put it in two of the bank's zippered money bags. Cody then walked over to the vault where the safety deposit boxes were, signed in, and disappeared with a bank employee into the vault. She exited and sat at her desk. In a few minutes, Cody exited carrying the bank bags and walked out the front door of the bank. What did he do in that room? He left with the money. Where is it? I need that money. Sue was getting loud again. This bank is going to take my home. Where am I supposed to go? You are going to have to help me. This is your kid. Find us a place. Calm down, Sue, the lawyer replied. Don't you dare tell me to calm down. This was your idea. You said I'd get the house and land. Now I've got nothing. He had her by the arm and was leading her towards the door. Let me go. I'm telling your wife. We'll see what she thinks about... She never finished. He slapped her so hard she fell to the floor. He stepped over her and left. The bank's security guard was helping her up when the sheriff arrived. I had called him when Sue had started screaming about the bank taking her home. The attorney spent a couple of nights in jail for assault and battery. Within a month, his wife started divorce procedures and the bank foreclosed on Cody's house and land. I heard Sue sued her baby's daddy for child support and won. She moved out of town, as did the attorney, after he lost his job and was suspended from practicing law for 6 months. Have you figured out that Cody is not dead? From the perspective of Cody. Jesse had a plan, and it sounded like it would work. I mean, what were my choices? Killing Sue and her lover was not one, nor was paying alimony to a cheating wife for the rest of my life, while she lived rent-free in my house. I was not going to pay child support for a kid that is not mine either. Jesse knew I always helped on that charity ride, and that would fit in with the plan for me to disappear. I halted the ride at the edge of the river, telling everyone I would cross first to make sure it was safe. I made the horse rear, and I fell into the river. I quickly swam underwater to the deepest part, and then stayed under until I reached the cave that Jesse and I had discovered when we were kids. I swam inside, then surfaced and sat on the rocks. People searched the river, but no one knew about that cave but Jesse and me. At 9 p.m., the search had been called off for the night, and I swam downriver to a bridge. Jesse picked me up and took me to an airport 300 miles away from our town. I boarded a plane with my passport and flew to South America. Nobody bothered to check the airports or immigration. I was dead in the river as far as anyone who cared thought. Jesse had given me enough cash to stay in a nice hotel and live until I found what I was looking for. It is a hacienda. It is 3 times bigger than my ranch back home. I can run a nice-sized herd of beef cattle and a few horses. I started my new life when Jesse wired me the $500,000. Life is good and getting better every day since I met my neighbor's daughter. Switching back to the perspective of Jesse. I am the only person alive who knows Cody did not die in that river. I have kept that secret for over 20 years now, and I plan on keeping it until the day I die. No one will ever know, not even my friend with benefits who I married a couple of years ago. Do I still love Cody? Of course I do. I always will. But it would never have worked out between us, and I knew it. Cody is a real man's man. That's why I love him. He's what every young boy dreams of becoming, and every old man wishes he had been, an American hero, a cowboy. He does not have a gay bone in his body. Me, on the other hand, I've been gay since the day I was born. And that's the end of today's story. If you enjoyed it, please give this video a thumbs up and drop a comment below. Your support helps the algorithm push my content further. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. It really helps me keep creating more stories for you. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.